Baker Mayfield has officially been traded. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Tony Tucker, Joe Morley Sports. We're going to talk about the Baker Mayfield impact and a few other things, a few other developments in the NFL here today. How you guys doing? Tony, Joe, Baker, gone?
I'm doing great. Feel great. Feel, full of fireworks. America. Lots of booze. Good times. Bag toss. Crushed my nephew. I'm never too old to beat a 10-year-old in bag toss and then talk a bunch of smack to him.
I think I took the word crushed a little too literally. Joe, how was your 4th of July?
It was all right, I guess. Tired, explosive. Explosive, if that's what it is. You know, we got those great California fireworks. If you've never been to California and seen the amazing fireworks that we're allowed to put off, it's awesome.
Talking about everybody in their neighborhood.
Meat Hammer, a.k.a. Big Baller Cards, Tony's favorite guy, Meat Hammer, in the house already.
What's going on, Meat Hammer?
The Meat Hammer to you. The Meat Hammer to you. Yeah, over where I'm at, closer to Los Angeles, people don't care about the law at all. It is not legal to do fireworks here, but it is just going off like crazy. I felt like I was at Disneyland. Just fireworks everywhere, going crazy. Anyways, something else happened other than America's birthday. Baker Mayfield got dealt to the Carolina Panthers for a conditional 5th-round pick. I mean, this was inevitable. The Panthers have been the team to be rumored the entire time, but it finally happened. The Seahawks were also involved, I guess, in some kind of way. So we're just going to talk about here, how does this trade impact all these different categories? We can talk about anything, though, if you guys want to. But first of all, let's start off with the Browns. Something that I was thinking as soon as I saw this deal go down is if Deshaun Watson's gone for the entire season. Let's just assume he's gone for the entire season. How willing would the Browns be to tanking for a wide receiver in the draft? How willing would the Browns be to tanking, do you guys think?
I don't think they need to tank. If Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns going into the season, there's no tanking. They just suck anyways. They're going to suck, and that's how good they're going to be. You can make a case for Jacoby Brissett and be like, well, he's a good backup, and he's carried a couple teams. He's not going to carry the Cleveland Browns to where they need to go. So there's no tanking, Mike. When you suck, it's you sucking, not tanking.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for the most part. I do feel like they could be a competitive team still with Jacoby if they really, really played it to where they're feeding the running backs and they're trying to play good defense. What I mean by tanking is, let's say Myles Garrett has a very minor injury. Do they just go ahead and say, you know what, this season kind of in the tank anyways. We're waiting until Deshaun Watson can come back next year and just not send Myles Garrett out onto the field and just put him on the injury report.
So I think Mike is onto something here, and this is where I'm at. The problem with Jacoby Brissett is he's not bad enough to tank. He's just good enough to get you to 9 or 10 wins with this run game and a solid defense, which I think they should be. And Stefanski's offense is tailor-made for somebody like Jacoby Brissett to have a career year and end up like having one of those Ryan Fitzpatrick type deals, right? Where he gets out there, he's efficient, he maybe goes like 25 touchdown passes to 8 or 9 interceptions. And then somebody's like, oh, well, he could come and compete for a starting job in Washington or, New York, like one of these places where they need a solid veteran QB and some competition. And that's the worst thing ever for them. But Mike, you're saying tank for a wide receiver. Like, you don't got to tank to get a good wide receiver. Like, you could still have picked 20, 22, Jello, the icon in the building. Yeah, you don't need to tank that hard for it.
Well, what if there's just that one guy, that one Jamar Chase that's going to go inside the top 5, and they can get him on the roster with Amari Cooper, and then Deshaun Watson comes back, boom, they're Super Bowl contenders just like that. Well, and all they had to do was suck one more time. One more grand time. It might not be a wide receiver. Whatever they can get would it behoove the Browns to tank. I'm not going to say that it would be smart to tank, because I never support tanking in the NFL.
If they start Josh Dobbs, Mike, I'm on your side. If they go Josh Dobbs, the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, they might as well not even show up.
I just think that they're going to be a little less eager to send guys out there with minor injuries. That's the only thing I'm thinking as far as the tanking goes. Because Jacoby Brissett, like you said, Tony, he has a turnover to TD ratio that's comparable to a lot of starters in the NFL. Definitely the bottom 10 to 12 quarterbacks in the league. When you go and look at his QB record, I think it's just under 500. So like that's not awful. He's not Johnny Manziel out there that they have playing for the Browns all over again. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Browns handle this season. I don't think this impacts what their plans were at all because they probably already knew they weren't going to have Baker and they weren't going to have Deshaun Watson for some time. We just got to wait on that suspension. Pushing forward to the next tab I have here. And if there's anything you guys want to bring up, just go ahead and bring it up. This is just what I prepared. NFC South rankings. My NFC South rankings before this trade were, and I assume you guys might agree with this, Bucks, Saints, Falcons, Panthers with Sam Darnold at quarterback. How does that shake up now? You think that changes?
Bucks, Saints.
Falcons. With Baker going to the Panthers, it makes a huge difference. They're going to go from 6 wins to 6 wins.
So you're telling me Baker doesn't move the needle at all for you, Joe? Like he doesn't. It's not an upgrade from Sam Darnold.
I don't know why we're assuming that Baker's going to beat out Sam Darnold anyways.
Oh, boy.
The only time he ever beat out Sam Darnold was in the draft when Sam Darnold went number 3 and Baker went number 1. I don't know. I'm just making this up. But Carolina, do they have a good offense? And can Baker Mayfield go in there and dominate? Yes. But he's also, I don't know why this doesn't get talked about a lot either. Is Baker Mayfield, in my mind, is an injury-prone guy. And he has to be that guy who plays hurt or tries to play hurt. And forward to that. And if Christian McCaffrey ain't going, it's not that the Panthers aren't going anywhere if Christian McCaffrey doesn't stay healthy, no matter who the damn quarterback is.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely every team needs to have health, right? Like part of the reason Sam failed last year was the Christian McCaffrey injury. Like you need to have that. You need to have that respect. You can't rely on whoever, Chubba Hubbard or came in after that. So we're there, but I have to see this as an upgrade. Like he's just been better. And a lot of people will go, oh, well, he had more talent. He didn't have a ton more talent on that first team. I mean, Jarvis Landry wasn't better than DJ Moore. Like they didn't have a Robbie Anderson. It's not like the Baker's rookie year when they won 6 games or whatever. I mean, people act like that team was loaded. It wasn't very good. It got better when they got OBJ and Jadeveon Clowney came in and they got the safety or who were the kids from the Rams? Mike, help me out. Johnson and
the John Johnson, and they got Troy Hill, but Troy Hill's back with the Rams now.
Okay, so they go, but what I'm saying is that team, the team I was excited about last year that I predicted to go to the Super Bowl, that defense that got loaded up, like they had players on offense and defense on that team, and he did underperform, but he also overperformed with less talent. So I think put him on the Panthers. I think that's an 8-9 win team. I did this last year too with Sam Darnold. I was like, Panthers are they're going to be a cusp playoff team, and Sam Darnold just defecated all over 1,000 thread count sheets, all over them. Yeah,
I agree with both of you in a way. This is the weird situation where the running back's health is more important than the quarterback's health. It's interesting because, like Tony said, Baker isn't necessarily the worst quarterback in the league. In fact, he's probably not even like in the bottom 5 worst quarterbacks in the league. Last year, he was playing with a torn labrum on his non-throwing shoulder. So assuming that his non-throwing shoulder heals up okay, we shouldn't have any issues throwing the football because the right shoulder should have been fine. He should go back to what he was doing the year prior, where, like you said, Tony, he was overperforming for the talent that was around him that season. So we'll see what happens in Carolina. But as far as the rankings go, I think personally, this is a good enough upgrade at quarterback. If Matt Rule puts out a good Christian McCaffrey centered offense, that the Panthers are better than the Falcons now. It's close though. It's close though.
I don't think there's a big difference. Okay, what's the difference of the 2 Panthers and the Falcons, Mike? Like, both of them are going to be fighting for the bottom top 10 NFL draft pick anyway, so it doesn't matter who we say is better, the Falcons or the Panthers, because It's like saying which garbage bag is better to take the trash in. They're both going to the same spot, the dump. They're both crap.
That's fair.
They're okay. They're both bad. Neither one of them is contending for a Super Bowl, right? Neither one of them is even going to be like a tough out in the playoffs if they were to somehow miraculously make it there. I just think the team is more interesting and more fun to watch on a weekly basis with Baker Mayfield. Also, like Baker's irrational confidence is good and contagious. Like he would never, ever say, I'm seeing ghosts out there, like Sam Darnold did. Like that's just not something you admit. Even if you are seeing it, like you just have to be like, well, I'm better than this. I'll learn from it. Here we go. Like you just don't say things like that. And I think that is part of Sam's problem. Because you look at Sam, he's big, he's athletic, great arm. Why isn't this guy successful in the NFL? Like, why is he not seem to have any sustained success? I don't have an answer for you.
And Meat Hammer or Big Baller is asking who the Atlanta quarterback is. So Atlanta has Mariota and Malik Willis, right?
No, they have Desmond Ridder, who's going to be a stud, but just not.
My bad, Desmond Ridder. I was thinking Willis. Willis is on
Tennessee.
Yeah, I just said Titans.
You're the only 10 I see.
But yeah, so if you're looking, I don't know, if we're looking at Baker Mayfield, he's not horrible. But today I was watching, the what do they call it, mainstream media, ESPN, and all that crap, Tony. Yeah. First time in a while that I've actually turned it on, and these guys are praising Baker Mayfield. Like I'm thinking to myself, like I need to clip all this out. So at the end of the season, if Baker Mayfield doesn't pan out, then all these guys, it doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want in sports and go on. But they're claiming that Baker Mayfield has taken the Carolina Panthers to the playoffs already. So they're claiming that the Panthers are a playoff team with Baker Mayfield.
Well, the problem is the Panthers have some other points of failure that weren't just the quarterback position. The offensive line is pitiful. I mean, they have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Baker is going to have a rude awakening seeing that line instead of the Browns line in week 1, having to go against Myles Garrett, who we just were talking about earlier. And then also the defense, I think, took a hit. Yeah, they're trying to stay young. I see what they're trying to do. They want to stay young while they look for a quarterback. Letting Stephon Gilmore go. He basically just walked. Letting Hassan Reddick walk. But it's still going to hurt the defense. They're going to be a worse defense than they were last year, and that was kind of the team's strength last year. So, and the coaching situation does not make me feel any better. Not that I think that Matt Rule is a horrible coach. I think he's got dealt some pretty shitty cards and some pretty bad luck over the last couple of years with the quarterback situation. But he's going to be desperate this year. It seems like there's some pressure, and his seat might be the hottest of any coach in the NFL.
No, it definitely is. And I don't think that this reeks of desperation, Mike, that they had to go get Baker Mayfield. It's
not even Jimmy. Jimmy would have been better, I think.
But it doesn't. The thing is like you're a guy here. They moved up to draft a quarterback. My thing is I don't know. Nothing they're doing makes any sense. You pick up the 5th-year option on Sam Darnold right away before you even know what he's going to be. Like, imagine if they waited. I don't even know if legally they could have waited. Like, did they have to, as soon as they traded for him, pick up that 5th-year option? But now you have a 5th-year option on a guy who was terrible last year for you. They brought in Cam Newton as like desperation. Let's have some nostalgia for the fans. That was a train wreck. Yeah. They lose their 1st-round pick. Sticking with the quarterbacks. They move up in the draft to get Matt Corral. They give more draft capital for that, and then they bring in Baker Mayfield. Like, all of these decisions seem like owners like, I want this. I want Baker Mayfield. We don't even know if Matt Rule wanted Baker Mayfield. We don't know. I don't know if Matt Rule wanted Matt Corral. I don't know who's doing what.
I think he might have wanted Deshaun. That whole trade rumor, the Panthers were in on the Deshaun sweepstakes also. So they've kind of been all over the place with the quarterback position. Joe even sent us a graphic that had like they traded like 6 total picks now for 4 different quarterbacks, and none of them have worked out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. So it was a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th. all to assemble Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, and Matt Corral in the room.
That's just this year. That's not even looking at last year. PJ Walker played some time. Cam Newton played some time. Go back a year before that.
Didn't they
Kyle
just have Teddy
Allen,
Bridgewater?
Teddy Bridgewater was there as well. I mean, they were all over the place over the last couple of years. It's going to be interesting, man.
It stresses how important that position is, because 2-3 years ago the Bucs were 7-9 with Jameis Winston, who was a former number one pick, threw 33 touchdowns that year, and then Tom Brady comes and they're one of the best teams in the NFC and have a Super Bowl. Like, it just shows you how important it is to have that position correct. And I don't think any of the players they have on this roster are the answer that saves Matt Rule for another season.
And they did all this while Drew Lock is sitting out there. They could have had a generational talent in Drew Lock, and they're going with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold.
Backpack on, activated.
Okay, so Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, they came out of the same draft, right? They both were in the 2018 NFL draft, number 1 and number 3 overall picks. Since then, let me throw these stats at you guys. Sam Darnold 17-32, Baker Mayfield 29-30. Of course, Sam Darnold has a completion percentage of 59.8%. Baker Mayfield's at 61.6. TDs, Sam Darnold 54, Baker Mayfield 92. Interceptions, Sam Darnold 52, Baker Mayfield 56. So
sounds like Baker's been better. Baker's been better. It's not like Baker, but when you compare those numbers, Baker's clearly better. But then you start comparing Baker to the average in the NFL, and now all of a sudden you start thinking about Baker a little bit. So, like you said, they definitely upgraded at quarterback. Very treadwater move. Not necessarily that Baker's going to be the franchise quarterback. Even if he's good this year, I could see Baker being like, I want to test free agency and go to somewhere where a quarterback just vacated a loaded roster. Maybe Tampa, maybe Green Bay. I don't know, somewhere else. Moving on to the next tab here. Browns and Panthers fantasy football impact. There's a player that I want to circle in general, and it's already started to be a debate on TikTok for sure. DJ Moore. Yeah. Any impact on DJ Moore? What do you guys think about how this hurts DJ Moore's fantasy value? Because Christian McCaffrey, we aren't really going to change our opinion on him too much. He's a guy that when he's on the field, he's one of the best fantasy players in the league, no matter who the quarterback is. Just the injury issues are a concern. But DJ Moore has room to improve, and if he does improve, that suddenly launches him toward wide receiver 1 upside. What do you guys think, Tony?
Joe? Me?
Well,
okay.
I like DJ Moore before Baker Mayfield came there. I like them with Sam. I don't care who the quarterback is, because we've seen where even with the bad quarterback play, a top wide receiver, a talented wide receiver gets his numbers, or he does. They lean on him, and I think Baker Mayfield's going to lean more on him. And this is a guy who had 93 catches last year with the combination of Cam Newton,
PJ Walker,
Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, all those guys. The only thing that was down was his touchdowns, and I think Baker Mayfield's going to look for him more around the end zone. I think if you were iffy about taking DJ Moore in fantasy football, it just makes it it makes it easier to take him now, and especially earlier in the rounds.
Yeah, so in the mock, I talked about this, where I was looking at that 6th round, and DJ Moore was still on the board, and I was like, I just passed on him because I don't know what that is. It's like I'd rather take DeAndre Hopkins, and he's going to miss 6 games in the 6th round than DJ Moore in the 6th round. I think now, knowing that if we get closer to the year and it looks like Baker's going to win the job to start the year, I'm probably feeling a lot better about drafting DJ Moore in that area. I think this Baker raises his value because I've seen Baker have success, consistent success. I think also too, it raises the value of Robbie Anderson for me. I like somebody who's not afraid to take a shot and gamble, and you need to have that. And now that's maybe why he has the 56 interceptions, but that's also going to help Robbie Anderson, even though Robbie may have, I don't understand. Does Robbie Anderson hate Baker Mayfield or not? He said something about it. Then he was like, I was backing my guy. It's like, you mean the same guy you trashed in New York? Don't say anything.
I smile, I laugh because I contribute to this with my TikToks too. But what happened was all Robbie Anderson did was comment no with a bunch of O's on a Baker Mayfield trade to the Panthers rumor. And he clarified later. He was like, I wasn't necessarily saying that I hate Baker. I'm just trying to say that I back Sam. So however he was thinking in the moment is how he was thinking, but he's explained it pretty much. He was like, no, I don't want Baker to come to Carolina. Whatever the reason was, he can have. But everyone freaks out, and they're like, oh, Robbie Anderson's going to retire if Baker doesn't come because he made a retirement comment 6 months apart from the Baker Mayfield comment.
Well, I want to hear from Rashard Higgins. Like, he left the Cleveland Browns this year. Was he trying to get away from Baker and went to the Panthers, and now Baker is over there? Or is that connection going to be rekindled? Maybe he's liking Baker. Maybe he put some good words in for Baker over there.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't remember that. Yeah, Rashad Higgins went to the Panthers. That's like a no offense Drew Lock thing. No offense, like, oh, okay, it looks like I'm getting traded away from Drew Lock. Thank God.
No.
Read a little bit closer.
Look at it closely.
Yeah, he's like, no, I wasn't saying no that Drew got traded there. I was saying no because I got traded with Drew there. I think Rashad Higgins and Baker had a nice connection. Why couldn't it's good to have some familiarity for Rashad Higgins too. He's got a relationship as far as speaking some of the same language, looks, pre-snap stuff. That's good for him. It's messy. The whole thing is messy. What do you guys think of when you guys remember Baker Mayfield being in the Cleveland Browns? Like, what's like the one thing that you'll remember of his? Maybe on or off.
Well, a game that I'll remember for Baker Mayfield is the Ravens game. That throw that Lamar had to take the poop, and they went back and forth. Baker slid into the end zone, threw the ball at the railing, and it was just an exciting game. That's all I remember most. But I also just, whenever I think of Baker Mayfield, I just think of how teams can still win in today's day and age with a really strong O-line, a really strong running back, and a really strong play action scheme. Kirk Cousins can do this for the rest of it. He can do this into his 40s. If you can just accomplish all that, you can put any quarterback in there that can just run that play action scheme.
Yeah.
That's what I'll think about every time. That is a perfect example. The Cleveland Browns during the Baker Mayfield years.
When I think of Baker Mayfield, I think of all the damn commercials. I need to know who's helping Baker Mayfield move out of that stadium. Who's helping him? Are they changing the password? What was the password to get in? 6? Was that the number? I don't know. All those remember all those commercials that he had? So I want to know who's helping him move out of that stadium, and does he get to move into the new stadium?
Also, do those continue when they're
I don't think so because Cleveland. Progressive is like a Cleveland-based company or whatever, so I think it'll move on to somebody else.
Not the Sean.
No. Progressive they're smarter than that.
Is Progressive helping with the moving fees?
I saw someone who doctored up all the commercials and made it look like he was moving out of the Progressive office to the Carolina.
That's a very good edit. Baker's time will be. I'll remember 2 things. One, how excited the fan base was just to have Baker Mayfield. He was at a baseball game, Cleveland Indians, and he's shotgunning beers, just watching a baseball game, and Cleveland's losing their mind. It was really something for them to be excited about. If you've never been to Cleveland, there's some of the most depressing sports fans to talk to. It's just all sadness whenever you talk to Cleveland sports fans. But the second game of his career, his rookie season, when Tyrod Taylor gets hurt, I forget who the game was against, but he comes in and he has the 2 touchdown come from behind victory. It was just that entrance, and it was the promise was so great after that moment when he came in to save the day after that whole terrible Hugh Jackson HBO Hard Knocks thing where it's hey, you were in the backup job or whatever. He's like, I was the number 1 overall pick. You're calling me in to tell me I won the backup job or something. It was just a weird thing. So,
and I'll apologize for Tony Tucker right now. And he said the Cleveland Indians, and that was so horrible and disrespectful, Tony. They are the Cleveland Guardians now. Thank you, same old sports.
That was an Indians game, though. You can't just go back change what they were at that time. It's not like when the Chiefs changed their name to, the Briskets in a couple of years, we'll be like, oh, yeah, remember at the Briskets game in 2018? No. It was still the Chiefs. They were the Indians.
At a certain point, PETA's going to get involved, and all these animals, they're done. Eagles, gone. Everything's going to be gone except for Chargers. Go ahead. Try and go after that one.
I want to say one thing.
I was almost attacked by a. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I think Cleveland is screwing up. I think they screwed up, Tony. Like Baker Mayfield, hate Baker Mayfield. He was the best quarterback this franchise has had in a long time, since Bernie Kosar or whatever it is. This is the guy that you had. He's led you to playoff games, which you haven't had, and now you just traded him off and you kicked him off like he's nothing. And I think we've always heard curses on some NFL teams, like the curse of the Bambino on the Yankees and all this team. I think the Cleveland Browns go back in the downward spiral after getting rid of Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield is a great quarterback. I just think he was perfect for that team in that city at this time. And you bring in somebody like Watson, and you're done. You're done. You treated somebody who wanted to win for your franchise, and he was winning. You treated him like garbage at the end.
They definitely could have been a little bit more patient.
I agree with that 100%. And there's this weird thing where it's like, I haven't talked a lot publicly about how I feel about Deshaun Watson, because I don't really feel like it deals with sports. But the one thing that has bothered me was that there was a rumor where they said they want an adult in the room. You want an adult in the room, and then you're going to trade for Deshaun Watson? That's your idea of what an adult is? Because you need to redefine what that is. So, like, that bothered me. They had somebody that embraced the situation, the fans, everything with Baker, and they messed it up. Were they going to be, a powerhouse, forced to be reckoned with Baker? Probably not. But, like, there's this idea, too, that Deshaun Watson is the savior. Everybody keeps going, he led the league in passing the last time he played. They were 4-12, everybody. Stop throwing me stats of a quarterback that was 4-12, because the ultimate stat that you need to be is 12-4 or 14-2. Like, Brady didn't always have the most impressive stats. He played on football teams that won, and he played big when they needed him to be big, and they won football games. And that at the end is what it is. Crazy numbers or not, you need to be winning football games. And he didn't win.
What do you do, Tony? You play to win the game.
You play to win the game. Hermes.
Hello.
It's that simple. Speaking of adults, unless you're Martellus Bennett, I think the 49ers roster thinks that Jimmy G's an adult. I just put Jimmy G on here because I feel like this officially puts the nail in the Jimmy G trade coffin. He is going to get cut, in my opinion. But do you guys think there's any way for a trade? Keep this in mind, that Carson Wentz, who I think is better than Baker Mayfield. I will say that. How much better? I don't know how wide that gap is, but he's better than Baker Mayfield. But he went for a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and a conditional third-round pick. You wait until after the offseason's over, everyone's went and got their quarterbacks, and now a guy like Baker goes for a conditional, not even a locked-in pick, a conditional fifth-round pick. Basically, if Baker performs, then he goes for a fifth. Otherwise, it was a money swap. So what do you guys think about Jimmy G now? His contract, obviously, is something that teams have to deal with, but it's only 1 year at the same time, so it's not like it's going to be on the books for a bunch of years. Someone trade for Jimmy G for a 1 year rental, or is he getting cut by the Niners, or is he staying on the Niners? What do you think, Joe?
It's not about paying Jimmy G. It's not about like, oh, Jimmy G, it's only a 1 year contract and we'll just pay him. No, that 1 year deal is like 24 to $28 million. That's money that you could be using for Deebo Samuel, the guy who says, I want to get the hell out of here. That's money that you could be using this year for some of the younger guys and extend their contracts. So I don't care if you go, oh, it's only 1 year for Jimmy G. No, that's 1 year that you're screwing over everybody else on your team with that money. The 49ers overshot the Jimmy G market. They thought that Jimmy G had so much value. And remember, at the end of the playoffs, all these Niner fans were like, we could get a first-round pick for Jimmy G, maybe even 2 first-round picks. And everybody was like, no, Jimmy G is not the guy. He's good and he's a serviceable quarterback, but he's not worth multiple first-round picks or even 1 first-round pick. I was pushing for the Baker Mayfield Jimmy G trade. The 49ers to trade Jimmy G to the Browns. The Browns send Baker Mayfield to the 49ers to back up Trey Lance. That was what I want. I don't see a trade happening because of how much money is involved. I do think the 49ers eventually cut him. And why not end up in Cleveland, right? And we're talking about Cleveland now. Jimmy G ends up Cleveland when Jimmy G, Jacoby Brissett fighting it out for who's going to start.
Yeah, Cleveland is a perfect landing spot for Jimmy G. And I think that what Cleveland did was really smart. They moved on from Baker Mayfield. Now next week, Cleveland will be back in the headlines again when we have to find out about Watson at some point. I would assume the NFL will probably strategically do some sort of news dump on Friday at like 3:30 p.m. Here's the suspension, and then they can go away for the entire weekend and come back on Monday, and everybody can deal with all the stuff, and we'll be talking about that next week. As far as Jimmy G goes, he can't be in that locker room. You think that Tua struggled having Ryan Fitzpatrick behind him? Jimmy G went to an NFC Championship game and a Super Bowl with many of the players on this roster. And if Trey Lance struggles even a little bit, they're going to be like, Coach, what the F is going on? He may not be the best, but we win football games with Jimmy. So, like, we know you invested a lot in Trey, but we only have so many years to win on this team. We have a lot of veterans on this team, but, like, they can't have him looking over his shoulder at him the entire time. It's not a good situation. Jimmy has to go. And then we also have to think about this. The market's going to open back up when some of these guys start getting banged up. And I don't like to talk about injuries, and I wish it on no team. I want every team to stay healthy all year. It will inevitably happen, or something will open up, and Jimmy will have a landing spot at some point. Like, he'll get moved because he's good enough. You can't just cut him.
I'm with you. I just think also the way Joe's thinking with the money thing, how do you just keep him on the roster? You got him behind Trey Lance. Also, that's another thing, adding extra pressure. If they just cut ties with him, yeah, it would suck that you got nothing for him. But if all you're going to get is a conditional 4th-round pick, I don't know. I mean, you might as well just go ahead and cut him loose now. Like you said, Joe, they should have traded him at the very beginning of the offseason. They would have gotten at least a 3rd-round pick and probably another late-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo to any of these teams that are going after quarterbacks, to Washington, to Cleveland, you can't trade to Seattle, but to Carolina. Any of these teams that are looking for a quarterback, they could have gotten a 3rd-round pick if they would have just went ahead and did it. But like we said, the reports that were coming out was where they were turning people down offering that. They wanted more. And now look where you're at. You're stuck with Jimmy and Trey Lance, and everyone except for the Seattle Seahawks have their quarterback, and the Seattle Seahawks are your division rival.
And Cleveland is the only team that has enough salary cap to actually make the trade if the 49ers don't cut him. Because I think Cleveland still has like $48 million in salary cap this year. So they can make that trade. But if Cleveland does make that trade, if Cleveland does bring Jimmy G in, do you guys want to know this stat? I'm a little bit off on the math. It's not going to be correct. But let's just say that they're going to spend $85 million on 3 quarterbacks. If they bring Jimmy G in, it'd be $85 million on 3 quarterbacks: Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, and Jimmy G.
It's rough.
And whatever they paid Jacoby, I'm sure Jacoby wasn't the cheapest backup to sign.
Yeah, and then whatever else they're paying, but those are just the 3 guys that would be on that roster. But
I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they're going to put him in there. I think they're going to go with Jacoby. Because even if you think about it, if they're talking to Jacoby Brissett at all these Patriots players have been buzzing lately. Even Julian Edelman on a really popular podcast is saying that the Patriots locker room did not necessarily like Jimmy G. So maybe Jacoby's telling them, like, this guy plays like a.
But so Jimmy gets a bad rap from former New England Patriots who are loyalists to Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Talk to the players on the 49ers who've been through it with him in the Super Bowl, who've been to the NFC Championship game. They seem to like Jimmy G. They don't want him to go. They don't want to do an experiment with Trey Lance. Also, I think if you are George Kittle and you're Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, do you want this kid that they're like talking about has accuracy issues as your quarterback? Do you want to be part of an experiment when you're trying to get paid and maintain relevance and win games in the NFL? You don't want to go through that, but they put themselves in this position by trading they traded away so much to get Trey Lance. You have to put him on the field and let him start developing.
Trey?
Yeah, if he isn't a top 10 elite quarterback, that was a bust of a trade. That trade was insane. When I saw that break and they were going to draft Mac Jones, no offense, Mac Jones. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback for years. Patriots franchise quarterback. Bill Belichick loves him, so how can I not love him? But 3 first-round picks for a rookie quarterback? Like, Patrick Mahomes better walk out that tunnel, Trey Lance. That's who better walk out. Josh Allen, level player, better walk out that tunnel. Kittle, Debo, all those guys, they know already. They know Trey Lance is the guy. They already know. So to not see them go ahead and say, yes, Trey, 100%, worries me just a tiny bit as a Trey Lance believer. I might have to eat some words, Tony.
I like Trey, and I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be fine because Kyle Shanahan's offense can allow you to be a little lackluster in certain areas of your game, or can allow you to sort of advance those things later as long as you're athletic and you can move. We've seen it too many times. I've seen Matt Schaub be successful. I've seen Matt Ryan win an MVP. I've seen RG3 win Rookie of the Year. Like, just everywhere he goes, even Jimmy G goes to Super Bowls with this guy. And we don't really think that he's, you're talking about a conditional 5th round pick for a player. Like that's not the case. Like, imagine if this was anybody else. This all kind of started because San Francisco was interested in Matt Stafford, and Sean McVay was like, no, we're more interested. We're going to get this deal done. And then the 49ers were like, well, we need to do something too. It's like, didn't you guys just pay a bunch of money and trade and everything for Jimmy G not too long ago? And now you're already trying to move to the next thing within like 72 months of acquiring this guy?
They had number 12 wanting to come to San Fran, and they went with that guy instead. They went with that guy, whoever that guy was.
I look forward to that documentary. I look forward to all of that coming out where they've said, but even when he was leaving and he was picking teams, he wanted to go. Tom wanted to go there. And now we're going on year 3 of Tom still playing in the NFL, and this guy's going to throw 120-plus touchdown passes and play in multiple playoff games and have won a Super Bowl for the Bucs. And that could have been for Kyle Shanahan.
What did Tom like that? He goes, "You're going to stay with that motherfucker?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was that guy, that motherfucker. Yeah, it was exactly that.
Stay with that guy? All right.
Jimmy Garoppolo. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not anyone else. It's not who they were going to draft. It was Jimmy Garoppolo who he was talking about.
I finally started watching Man in the Arena. I'm on like episode 7. It's even better than the Last Dance for me. Like the Last Dance was kind of like just stroking off Michael Jordan for 10 episodes, which is fine. It was entertaining. This is more like, this is detailed and fun. I love Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady at the same time. Simultaneously, just like this the whole time. I'm cheering the Falcons in the first half of that Super Bowl.
That's where I went over the hump. I said, I'm done with this. Inevitable has happened. When LeBron came back from 3-1 and when Brady came back from 28-3, I went over the hump and I just accepted reality that those two guys were guys and there was nothing stopping them. All right, next topic. This Aaron Rodgers forearm tat, which we're going to see featured in games and we're going to be featured in Madden 23, I hope, if they're accurate. Here, I'll read what Aaron Rodgers said when he posted this. There's deep and meaningful story and connection to absolutely each element of this art piece. And I'll share a little more about that one day on the Pat McAfee show. That was put in quotes in the comments. For now, just thankful for @whoever that is and his patience and artistry. #tattoo, #astrology, #the element. So that whisper and I in between those two lions, Tony, what kind of meaning do you think that has to Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, I thought it was a butthole. I'm glad you corrected me.
Whispering eye.
Yeah.
That's from my favorite movie. So
I think
there's two lions and an eye and the ocean. None of those things go together. So,
I think that Aaron Rodgers he's gone on like all these crazy spiritual journeys and everything else. And the moon is tied to the stars and the motion and the energy. And we're all just particles that come together for a brief period of time. And then we settle and dust and we blow and all this bullshit. Right. And some of it I actually enjoy. Like as much as I don't like Aaron Rodgers because he ruined the Green Bay Packers for me, I think that I don't want to go down that road. Let me just say this about the tattoo. It's interesting It's fun. I cannot wait to hear more about it. I like the fact that there's like an angry lion, but there's also the calm lion. That these are like parts of his personality. I think there's going to be weird, crazy conspiratorial stuff that's going to jump up in this. That's going to make people like lose their minds, right? Like that some of these, and there's going to be like little tiny things in there where you're going to be like, wait, I didn't even see this zeroed in, but there's like a picture of the guy who actually shot Kennedy or something like in the bushes of one of the things. And you're going to be like, what am I even looking at? There's going to be crazy conspiracies about all of this stuff.
Yeah. And then did you see what Same Old Sports just said, that Skip Bayless said Aaron Rodgers is going through a midlife crisis and he couldn't stop laughing?
Wait, what happened?
Skip Bayless said that Aaron Rodgers is going through a midlife crisis.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, it is kind of a coincidence that he broke up with his fiance, started dating this new girl who is rumored to be practicing witchcraft or something. I don't know what the rumors are around her, but just that whole switch over from, dating celebrities to dating a witch. Maybe this is his new path to getting another Lombardi trophy before he retires. He's going to get some kind of voodoo or something on his side.
Well, I think that Shailene's also a little granola-y too, she's sort of like sofa surfing, like she's not really into the Hollywood scene. She's a talented actress. Like she's good at her job. But I don't really think she's not like a super bougie Hollywood type person. Rodgers has always been very eccentric. He fancies himself an intellectual, and I think that he's probably extremely intelligent, right? There's really no question in my mind that the man is very smart and reads and does a lot of stuff. I saw this. I thought this was fake. I was like, oh, this is just somebody slow. Somebody put this crazy thing on him. This is real? Like, this is real.
That's Aaron Rodgers on Instagram. This is his quote, the deep and meaningful story. That's his quote.
You guys aren't seeing the whole the picture of it. You don't see it. Aaron Rodgers sees it, right? That's why he has that eye right there, because he sees his future. When the Detroit Lions beat him 2 times in one season, then he will retire and move on to the beach and leave the NFL. But until that happens, and it will never happen because you can see all the math in the background of the tattoo. But when the Detroit Lions win the division and beat the Packers 2 times, Aaron Rodgers will walk off into the sunset.
So put your money on the Lions. Put your money on the Lions right now.
Jared Goff and the Detroit Dan Campbell Lions 2-0 against Green Bay this year. I have a weird feeling that as much as movement as we saw this year, I think next offseason could be like the offseason of retirement. Could be like we saw a lot of that. We could be saying bye to, like all of a sudden it's like Trent, we woke up in the morning, Trent Williams retired today, Tom Brady retired today, Aaron Rodgers, and like we just start seeing like super great players being like, Julio Jones is calling it quits, and it's just like you start looking around, you're like, all these guys can't get in on the same ballot. Like somebody's got to stick around and retire one more offseason later, because you can't have this much talent retire all in the same offseason. But I think we saw player movement this year. Next season, I think it's like, the migration of just like greatness moving on.
Breaking news: after an 0-17, 35 interception season, Derek Carr retires. Come on, Joe. You'd like to see that, right? You guys can go ahead and move on. Get someone elite in there.
If Chase Daniels retires, then I'm gonna stop watching the NFL.
There's people out there that are bigger fans of Chase than you think. All right, final topic
I've been
here.
Chase Daniel fan since Missouri.
Since day one, through all those stops and all those $5 million contracts. Lamar Jackson. Lamar talked about it in a press conference when he first came back to Ravens camp, because he was like working out, holding out, whatever he was doing away from the team for OTAs. He said, I put on 15 to 20 pounds. Well, it's starting to come around that it looks like he actually did put on 15 to 20 pounds, which seems impossible. And we're talking 3 months. That's crazy. But what are your guys' thoughts on Lamar jacked I have some conspiracies surrounding the Ravens offense this year.
That looks like a linebacker. I don't know. Lamar Jackson has been one of my favorite players since he entered the NFL. I rarely tune into non-Michigan or Michigan State college football games. I did turn into a few of his games in college just because people are like, you gotta watch. It's so much fun. He's electric. I don't know that this helps the NFL career that much because I'm a little confused as to what's going on with the contract. I see it and I just see, are we running the football more? Because I thought the plan was to become better at passing so we could extend their career as opposed to having more seasons like last year. Because all that muscle's up top, he suffered lower body injuries. It wasn't like he was running and jammed shoulders, and so now he needs to look like, a cage fighter. It was because he got rolled up on. And so we need to eliminate the running. I thought that was the plan, but maybe I misunderstood.
I think it's a good thing that he's getting jacked up because, I don't know, Tony, you and I talked about this a lot last season, is we thought there was more to to Lamar Jackson last year, that he was sick or there was something wrong with him behind the scenes where he was missing games and he wasn't doing this. And now that it's showing that he can put on the muscle, maybe he is feeling back to 100%. Maybe it was just like some freak injuries last year. And that's what I get out of it, because damn, he's putting on some pounds, but like, what is it for? Like you said, what is it for? To take those hits again? I mean, come on. That's not gonna. I mean, we've seen little scrawny quarterbacks throw the ball and fine, but I don't know what he needs all this for, besides like you said, unless he's planning on taking big hits again.
The greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, and the ones that stick around the longest, don't look anything like this. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying this is not a recipe for NFL success.
It's true. It's true. I hope he didn't skip leg day. I hope that his leg growth matches the bicep growth when we look at it from a bigger, wider angle. At least see Lamar running the ball. Or if we come out and all the pictures have been cutting off his legs and they surprise whoever they play week one, he's got Saquon thighs or something. But
Mike Davis is his teamate, right? So he's
Mike Davis is. Maybe he got in the gym with Mike Davis. That might have been it. That might have been
leg day.
That might have been it. But I think that the Ravens realized last year especially that while Lamar can throw the ball, his game is at its best when everyone is afraid of him running the ball. They threw the ball a lot more per game last year. I think it was like 2 more attempts per game over the 12-game stretch. That's 25, 30 more passes. And Lamar threw 13 interceptions in those 12 games, which is not a good look. But the year before and the year before that, when they were running the ball first, Lamar's passing game looked better because when you're dominant on the ground, it can open up the pass game a little bit. So I think they are going to lean into the strength a little bit. They picked up a third running back that can handle carries. Lamar Jackson puts on weight. They trade away their wide receiver one. I mean, either Rashad Bateman's a beast or the Ravens are going to run the ball more often than not and try and get the success that they had earlier on in Lamar's career. I don't think it's going to hurt his contract if he re-signs with the Ravens. Yes, it will hurt his free agent move if he tries to move to a different team and he doesn't have very much to show passing the ball. But if the Ravens win 13 games and Lamar is an MVP candidate again and they're re-signing him, they're going to realize how important he is to this offense. And quite literally, if they don't have Taylor Huntley or Lamar Jackson at quarterback or someone else that can run the same as them, the whole offense is built around this. I mean, they can't do it with they can't throw a Joe Flacco style guy right back out there and go pocket passer in the middle of the season or in 1 year the next year. They'd have to revamp the whole thing. They've been building towards this. I still think until Lamar's retired, I'm still gonna say this probably, or until he plays terrible. I think they're going to Super Bowl with them. I don't know what year it's gonna be, but they just seem like that team, and they've done it in other years, which is crazy with Joe Flacco. They're that team that gets into the playoffs and gets hot at the right time, and the defense is just shutting everything down.
You're talking about Ray Lewis-led football teams, though.
Yeah, you got to get there.
You got to get Ray Lewis. You have to have. Yeah, I don't like that theory that you just put out there because
So you don't think that the Ravens have a chance to win the Super Bowl next year?
Well, their defense is going to be. Their defense should be good.
Lamar carries the team as opposed to the defense is all-time great. Like they won Super Bowls with all-time great defenses.
Yeah, I think that this defense has potential to be all-time great in the near future.
Oh, okay. Mike, and you have Lamar Jackson, then yeah, that's a Super Bowl team.
When did the Ravens go to crap last year?
When Lamar Jackson got hurt.
Nope. When the defensive players started falling and getting hurt.
They were losing
Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. Yes. What did the Ravens make an emphasis on this offseason? They went and got more defensive players. So the Ravens know that the defense carries that team, and Lamar Jackson is just there to waste the time and run the ball. I was going to tell you right now, Mike, nobody is scared of Lamar Jackson running the ball anymore. They've all game planned around it. Go back and watch Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. What do teams do? They line up there and say, throw the ball, Lamar Jackson, because we're going to stop you from running. We're not afraid of you running anymore. We know how to defend that. Nobody's afraid of Lamar Jackson anymore. They want him to pass on him.
I know that the Raiders, in the worst game to this day that I've ever watched in my life, are one of the 2 losses the Ravens had up until week 8 before they lost Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson came back for 1 game here, 1 game there with playing through injuries. I know that the Raiders beat them, but the Ravens were on their way to competing for a 1 seed last year until Lamar went down. And they were still competing with Taylor Huntley running the ball the same way Lamar was. So I think that teams still fear Lamar a little bit more than you're giving it to him.
They definitely fear him. My fear is that he won't be healthy enough at the end of the season. Like football is too brutal of a game for you to play that style of football. Like this is what I fear about for Josh Allen, right? Like Josh's career is not going to be super long if he doesn't change the way he plays. Kyler Murray has trouble staying healthy at the end of the year. Like Lamar stayed pretty healthy for 3 seasons, but it catches up with you. It caught up with Michael Vick. It caught up with Randall Cunningham. It caught up with all the fun players that I used to love to watch run around. It caught up with Cam Newton. Like eventually your body just doesn't respond the same way anymore. And you cannot do those things that got you out of trouble and made you, over the top great at your position. You have to be able to pass from the pocket and slide and get down. And he doesn't do it. It ruined RG3. RG3 was electric his rookie season. Injuries ruined it because he wouldn't slide. He couldn't get down. He always hurt.
They're taking running back volume of hits. That's really what it is.
And you can't do that. You cannot sustain it and play into your 30s, mid-30s. You cannot play. Look at what Russell Wilson doesn't do that stuff as much. He takes a lot of sacks, but those are like extending plays in the pocket being dragged down sacks. Not full, high impact collision downfield hits from linebackers and, car accidents, essentially. It's not the same.
The next network fan is asking, how do you guys think the Ravens are going to do this season with the jacked up Lamar Jackson?
I will predict the Ravens to win the division. Like
I have the Ravens sitting their starters in week 18.
I haven't really broke it down, but I could see them. I can see them winning the division. I can also see them coming in third. I have to look at their schedule and really break it down. But it all depends on how these new additions gel together. But I don't know. We could say Lamar Jackson is all, but look at their wide receiver core. Are we really happy with that? Or does he really have the weapons that are going to help him nowadays?
They never have.
Yeah, but that catches up to you too.
Yeah, they've never had weapons. I think they're going to be a very similar team to previous years, almost exactly the same.
If they go back,
the Bengals have improved.
They're going to win 13 or 14.
The Steelers have improved, and the Browns haven't.
Speaking of the Bengals fans are pissed at these predictions that I've been putting out. But what they don't understand is that if the Ravens don't get hurt, I don't think that the Bengals make the playoffs last year. As hot as that might seem, because they went all the way to the Super Bowl, we forget they were 1 loss away or 1 tie in the fucking Chargers case away from not making the playoffs.
Who did the Chargers lose to?
That's a whole different topic that we do not have enough time to talk about. I forgot, honestly. But yeah, I think that the Ravens were a better team than the Bengals last year. They're a better team this year, even with improvements. I've got the Bengals winning 11 games still. Like, I'm giving them their respect for what they did. I think it was a lot of a hot streak though. At the same time,
I don't have them making the playoffs.
you don't have the Ravens making the playoffs or the Bengals.
Bengals. I don't have the Bengals.
Oh yeah. I think that's a close team. That's one of those teams that were like, if you tell me Miami or New England made the playoffs, I'd probably say the Bengals missed.
Yeah. The teams I don't have in the playoffs next year, the NFC is much tougher because it's not there. Yeah. But there's a lot of teams in the AFC. I'm like, I don't think the Titans make it back this year. I'm not convinced the Patriots make it back this year or the Bengals. That's 3 teams that were in the playoffs last year that I don't think make it back.
It is tough, and there's going to be teams every year. There's teams that don't make it the following year after making a playoff push. It's really opposite too. The NFC is hard to call because there's so many average teams battling for wild card spots, and the AFC there's so many stacked teams battling for 3 wild card spots, and it doesn't feel like 3 is enough. Imagine if we still were doing 16 playoffs. Holy shit!
Yeah, and if I'm wrong about Kyler Murray, then we'll definitely see the Niners having a legitimate shot. Like the Niners not having a shot, right? Mm-hmm. If the Cardinals and Rams are those 2 teams, like it'll be tough because I think the Vikings are better this year, and then you travel out east. Eagles, Washington, and the Cowboys are all going to be not good, but winning 9, 10, 11 games.
We them boys.
The Eagles improved a ton, and I think that was a team last year that a lot of teams were circling. I know they made the playoffs; they squeaked in, but they're a lot better, and the Vikings are a lot better as well. I don't know. I haven't done any NFC predictions yet, so I don't know. You guys want to wrap this up? Call it a day. 56 minutes. Just under an hour. We appreciate everyone for tuning in. Mills Highlights, thank you for tuning in. Before you guys go, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and like the video. It helps out a ton in the algorithm. It just shows love and support to the page and the work we put in. Baker to the moon says Boda Sports. He's already got the Carolina coloring going on, so he's happy with the Baker Mayfield deal.
Well, I love the Mills Highlights logo too. That's very cool.
Joe, any last words? Tony, any last words?
Just win, baby. What's up, Omar? How you doing?
No, nothing.
And remember, kids, drink your Yoo-hoos.
Yoo-hoo.
Good drink.
Have you ever had it? It's pretty good.
I have had it. It's like a cinnamon chocolate milk.
Chocolate water.
Is it really water?
I don't know. It's not milk.
It is. It's not. It's just sugar and don't drink Yoo-hoo. Drink water. Make the right choice. Eat drink avocado.
Right.
Look at me and look at Tony, and you tell me what you want to do.
Rise energy. The energy drink of the GOAT himself. LeBron James' energy drink. All right, guys. You guys know what to drink now. Talk to y'all later. We'll be back for Mock Draft Monday. See you then.